Welcome back to the channel, everyone. How you doing? I hope you guys are having a great day today. I know I am, but maybe this will make your day a little better, or it won't. I have no idea. So today is going to be book tropes I do not like. My least favorite book tropes. I don't know what to call this yet, but that's what it is. It's gonna be bad book tropes I don't like. Maybe that's what it's gonna call. I only have 8 of these ones. I know the last time I did like book tropes I like, I said it was 10, and then I clearly just miscounted, so that was cool. There is 8 of these for sure. They are numbered. It doesn't mean like, oh, this is like the one I hate the most versus the least, anything like that. It's just, I wouldn't just name them off in order of how my list is. Yeah, these are just tropes I'm not a big fan of, and I don't know what it is, but this month of August I have been just doing some wild videos for like hot take videos. Anyways though, so these are the book tropes, so let's get into it. The first one on this list is, this is more for romance than any other genre, I guess. This is a very normal one for romance, but it is enemies to lovers. I am not a big fan of enemies to lovers. I always feel like it's very predictable, because at the moment you have the main character, it's usually a girl, and she meets this guy and they hate each other, you already know they're gonna hook up, they're gonna be together. It's always gonna be something like that. And to me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It kind of just bothers me how predictable it is for enemies to lovers. I feel like if you do enemies to lovers, it has to be really, really good to get me to be like, oh yeah, to get me behind this. The last book I read that was enemies to lovers was Fourth Wing, and I thought that was awful. The moment they met each other, you knew, oh yeah, they're hooking up. I just felt like it was really poorly written that way, and it felt like it was rushed. But this isn't a video about Fourth Wing. I already did that. Check that out if you guys want. But with this one, I just sit back and kind of think about like, oh, is it actually that good? No, it's not. It's really predictable. And the next one is currently in the world of Twilight that I'm reading is love triangles. Any book that is YA and the main character is a girl, you already know it's a love triangle. I strongly dislike love triangles, because love triangles, most of the time, for one, the girl usually is not very interesting. She's usually really boring. And the guys, you know which one she's going to pick, because one of the guys is just there, and they always know each other from being kids, and it doesn't go anywhere because you don't feel the relationship is actually anything more than like a brother-sister relationship. And then you have this new dude, the mysterious bad boy. You already know who she's picking. Like, I never think love triangles are very good because they never go anywhere. It's like, to me, I never felt like, oh yeah, this is real, this is definitely going to happen. Who is she gonna choose? Like in Twilight, you know she's gonna pick Edward, even though Jacob is the better pick. I will die on that hill, but doesn't matter. We're not talking about Twilight. I have a Twilight video coming out in like November. That's when I'll talk about friggin' Twilight, so be prepared. But I'm just saying, in general though, I'm not a big fan of love triangles because, like I said, it's very predictable, just like enemies to lovers, I always feel. But like enemies to lovers in just a pure romance novel, I think that's okay. But when it gets into like fantasy and like romantasy stuff, it's just not that good. That's just me. One that I don't really see too much anymore, and it's more of just a cliche of a classic fantasy, and I'm kind of glad it's not around anymore, because personally I like well-written female characters. But this is a trope that I'm pretty sure has been dying out lately, and that's damsel in distress. I think damsel in distress isn't the greatest, and it's more of just an anime, but the way they do it in anime is actually really good. But I feel like in older fantasy novels or older sci-fi novels, the damsel in distress, she's just a pretty face. It really strips away how she can be as a character, and I'm pretty happy to see that damsel in distress just isn't a thing hardly anymore. I will say, in anime or manga, damsel in distress is really, really good, I think. Just the way that they do it, because she's not just a face or just a body. She actually has character, and she actually has some good motives, usually in anime style. But damsel in distress is just something I don't think is a thing hardly anymore. I think all these tropes, as if they are executed greatly, then I don't have a problem with them, but most of them are just not very good. Like, I read my first fantasy book coming back into reading was the Rune Lord series, and they had the princess in it, and she was kind of useless. She did like nothing, and it was kind of underwhelming to like have her. She was just a pretty face, and that was it. And I was just like, oh, that's kind of lame, just saying. So this one is really 50-50, and it's very YA-ish. Granted, I kind of did this trope, but I did it in a way where it wasn't like, boom, right off the gate. But this one is instant love. I'm not a fan of instant love, and like I said, it's usually in YA, and I feel like with instant love, I feel like it's lazy writing to make these characters like each other, and it never feels believable. Like most of the time, it's just they look at each other like, wow, I love you. And I can tell you, it's freaking Twilight that does it too. Oh my gosh. Bella and Edward. Ugh, gosh. The reason why she likes him is because he's attractive. We're not talking about Twilight. I guess I'm talking about Twilight. I've never been a big fan of instant love. I just think, like I said before, it's very lazy writing to the point where it's just like goes nowhere. Like these characters don't have any growth between one another, and it just feels like it's very useless. It's a waste of time. It just, like I said many times now, it just doesn't go anywhere. I like the cool, slow burn relationships where it slowly, gradually gets there. Then the payoff's just way better. I think if you do instant love, it has to be really good. I just don't see it happen a whole lot. Usually it's just physical attraction and then they eventually just, oh, I really like you emotionally now. It's just like, oh man, come on. Another one I don't like is plot armor. So plot armor to me can be good, but oh man, there's so many times I'm reading fantasy or anime or sci-fi, just whatever I'm reading, and these characters could die. Like, they should have died, and then guess what? They don't die. And because the plot needs them to further along. And I feel like we are headed into a direction where fantasy, especially fantasy, but where fantasy novels are going to directions where plot armor is not that much of a thing anymore. Same thing with anime and manga, I've noticed. The plot armor is not like that anymore. And I think it's mostly because Game of Thrones is the big inspiration for that. So like Game of Thrones, where, oh, you like this character? Well, they're dead now. And I think that's where plot armor has been really slowing down because a lot of people don't like plot armor. There's been plenty of times where I'll read like The Wheel of Time and I'm like, why? I'm like, if these characters were not the main characters or like the side characters for the main characters, they would have died. There's been a couple times where I'm reading this, I'm like, why are you not dead? How are you not dead? And it goes to my head a lot when I'm reading like The Wheel of Time or a Stormlight Archive book, because I'm like, why are these characters not dying? So maybe that's just me. I mean, who knows? Maybe the plot, I mean, I'm not done with either of them, so maybe someone does die, but it feels like plot armor is very gifted in some element. I think the only time plot armor is fine is if the main character is about to die and then like a side character saves their life. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of plot armor. So this one is, I feel like everyone will hate this trope depending how they do it, but I'm always usually like, it's 99% chance I'm not gonna like it. That 1% chance is a really slim chance even, and that is resurrection. I do not like that trope. I strongly dislike that trope, especially when you are writing and say you wrote like a 10-book series and it's like book 5, the main character's like mentor dies, right? And he comes back like 2 books later. You're like, gosh, the whole emotional thing I just went through and tortured not only you, all these characters around, and then boom, character comes back. It kind of just strips that away. It takes away everything that you have emotionally invested in for nothing. It's kind of like what Marvel's doing with like the multiverse stuff. Like now we got Tony Stark back and it's like, oh, so Endgame's kind of like useless. You know, it's one of those things where it doesn't feel rewarded. The only time I can agree with this trope, like I said, it's really thin, is Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. He's the only one that makes sense for all of it makes sense what he did, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But most of the time it just does not work and it just kind of sucks. So this one is a trope that I actually like, but now we're going to talk about why I don't like it, and that is mercy. I'm not a big fan of the mercy trope. I think mercy is so good, but also so bad, because mercy is like, it's kind of like the thing with like Batman. Why doesn't Batman kill the Joker? He always gives a mercy because you already know the Joker is going to continue killing, continue doing the bad things, and it's finally like, Batman, you need to just kill the Joker because he is bad. But Batman has a rule where he doesn't kill people because he believes people will get better. They will eventually get better. Same thing was like Spider-Man. But then you have characters like the Punisher that doesn't believe in mercy, and he will just kill him because he said it before where he's like, when I hit someone, they don't get back up. They stay down. That's why I'm so 50-50 with the mercy trope, because the mercy trope is sometimes really good. It shows sometimes great character growth of leaving the villain alive or leaving someone alive, but also shows really good growth of ending somebody that did so many bad things to you. That's why I really like it, but I also don't like it because if it's not well written in this element, I can't get behind it. Then there's times where I can get behind it. It's just a really weird trope for me, but I'm really 50-50 with mercy. I've always liked it, but also there's so many times where I'm like, oh, just do it. And what happens is, well, they don't do it, and that character that you gave mercy to comes back and kills like your loved ones or one of your friends or just somebody that you are close with, and it ruins, well, everything. You had that character moment, but then it strips it away. So I'm really 50-50 with Mercy. The last one is one I just think is really cringy, personally. This one really fits in. The trope is only one bed. This is very romantic genre stuff, but I always think it's just a weird concept of like, ooh, there's only one bed, I guess we have to share it. And it's like, I don't know, I just feel like it's really weird. I feel like if it's realistic, it ain't gonna happen. Like, most of the time the dudes are gonna be like, yeah, you can just have the bed, I'll sleep on the floor. That's a very common thing. I don't know, even if there's like tension between the two where it's like, ooh, I could share a bed, you know, it's like, I just don't think that's a realistic thing, and I just think it's really cringy. Like I said, some of the tropes I read in fantasy or like in romance where I'm just like, I understand the trope, but also it's kind of like cringy and it's just not well written and it feels very forced. And that's what I feel like with this is like the one where I feel like it's the most forced besides like instant love. But only one bed trope, I do not like it. I don't get behind why people like it. I really don't. I guess it's like the only time I guess it could be fine, only time, is say it's like a 400-page book, right? And the first 200 pages, these characters are constantly together and you can really feel that tension, and they go somewhere where there is literally one bed and I guess they share it, but at the same time it's like most of the time the guy might just be like, oh no, you can have the bed, I'll just sleep on the floor. Usually like that. Like that's just how I view it. Maybe not all dudes are gonna do that, but not all women are gonna take the bed either. I don't know. I just really have never liked this trope in general. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. And of course, make sure you guys check out all my socials down below. That'd be really awesome. Let me know, again, what tropes do you guys like? Are these tropes that you guys like, or do you guys not like them either? Do you guys agree with my trope ideas, or do you guys just think I'm just a very cold-hearted man that doesn't like romance tropes, I guess? And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.